sister rejected her boyfriend's marriage proposal because he wanted her to quit caring for me because I'm disabled. But I begged her to pick him. Disability-afflicted 21-year-old boy living with 27-year-old sister. Accidents as a child left me paraplegic. My sister takes me to visit our father, who is aged and unwell and lives in an old people's home. Sister is my full-time caregiver. She supports us with her own job. She takes care of me while she's not working. She's had a serious boyfriend for 9 years. She was 18 when they started dating. I believe the relationship has always been serious. He's always been friendly and polite. He also provides occasional cash aid. I know my sister always wanted to marry. We've discussed it since childhood. We had pretend weddings, and she always imagined marrying. View wedding attire for hours. He fantasized about getting married as an adult and spent a lot of time shopping at bridal gowns, discussing her fantasy wedding and house. She has never changed the names she chose for her children as a child. She's always wanted to marry and have kids. Her lover has been so kind to her for a long time that I thought he would always marry her. I'd be happy for her. She'd finally have someone to care for her instead of me. Well, everything collapsed. One day she came home a wreck, weeping and pouring tears. She confirmed their breakup. Her anguish was awful to watch. Watching her cry and be sad was like a knife in my heart, and I felt helpless because I could only offer hollow words. She wouldn't say why, so I concluded she didn't want to. After a few days, she still didn't want to talk about it, and was crying. I told her I'm her brother, my heart and mind are still working, so she can talk to me about anything. After much pressing, she confessed. She told me her boyfriend proposed. That was great. Why did they break up? To married had been her dream for years. It was discussed, and her boyfriend wanted her to move in with him. Someone would look after me separately. I continued to see them occasionally, but I stopped visiting them, and my sister stopped being my primary caregiver. Despite her boyfriend's request, my sister declined. They broke up because she couldn't accept it and they couldn't agree. I told her she was insane and should have chosen her lover since she loved him and he loved her. She should have married and had a family. She shouldn't be tied to me forever. Still crying, she told me she knew she would never get it. Because she would always take care of me. Her childhood aspirations of marrying, having a wedding, and having children would never come true. I told her she shouldn't depend on me forever and should live on her own. She refused, saying that's what she wanted and needed. She wouldn't change it. She responded, no, she's in charge when I insisted. She'd choose how to live, so I shouldn't tell her. I promptly apologized once she got mad. I saw she was upset and grumpy, but she said it was all right. Why does she harm herself? Don't understand. Doesn't she realize I don't want her to die? Why did she suddenly break up with her 9-year-old boyfriend? Why did she reject him when he loved her? Why is she hurting herself? I don't want her to hurt herself for me. I never requested this sacrifice for her. When I told her I wouldn't mind having another caregiver, she claimed it has to be her, because it's her job, her commitment to me and our family, and she must always take care of me. No matter what I said, she wouldn't change it. I hate me now. I hate being disabled more than ever. Feeling like a tiny, useless animal. A ball and chain, I feel. It weighed her down and prevented her from living her life. Instead of caring for her crippled brother, I want her to be happy, enjoy life, and look lovely on her wedding day, as she has always envisioned. I hope I could die to liberate her from her burden. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't contemplated it. I'm serious. I know she would mourn me for years. After that, she'd marry and live her dream life. She may only find pleasure this way. I tried to convince her, but she seemed determined to get stuck. Don't understand. She is irrational and not self-interested. She does this why? Can I get her to prioritize herself and her life? Help me. Can I reason with her? How can I convince her to put her needs before mine and focus on her life so she may live the life she's always wanted instead of being tied to me? How can I persuade her? Please help, I'm desperate and heartbroken for her. Comment where OP responded, we got caught. Can you get a social worker to mediate? You can get the treatment you need while still getting along with her like a sister? There are several OP options. I told her I could easily find programs that would provide a caregiver, at a cost, so my sister could live her own life without being my caregiver. She didn't care. She is stubborn and persistent. She seemed to think she must be my caregiver forever. Not sure why. Okay, this updates my post from 2 nights ago. First and foremost, thank you for your kind and meaningful words. Much obliged. Today I understand things better and have talked to my sister, so I'm feeling better. I seemed confused, and there was a lot of misunderstanding in the moment. I've talked to my sister, and we're both feeling better today and think everything worked out for the best. Despite their long history, I understood he wasn't right for her after my sister told me. The length of their connection may have misled me. My sister clarified that he didn't say I couldn't visit, but that I couldn't visit whenever I wanted. They scheduled my visit so I didn't disrupt their lives. My sister didn't seem to like this. She acknowledged that her spouse had a problem with me and wanted to separate herself from me, which she didn't like. I said I believed she loved him. And she said she did, but she knows her priorities. She's old enough to know her goals and priorities. Since childhood, I imagined she had wanted to marry, have children, and have a family. She told me she still does, but under certain conditions. She said her values and priorities have changed as she has aged. If she marries, it will be a package deal with me and the family, she said. I would have to live with and join their family full-time. She warned that any future husband who refused could be stuffed, and she did not want him. She feels like way about her ex-boyfriend. She said she's more positive about her future. After his death, she said she was always unsure of her and my future with him. After making her choice, she's sure she'll never leave me. I asked her whether she would never marry. What if she never finds a guy who's cool with this and wants to settle down with her while I'm involved? So be it, she said. She said I am her family, her life, and her most important thing. She won't sacrifice me for a future marriage and children. My disabilities aside, she said she will always prioritize my health and well-being. She could barely imagine living without it. I told her, but didn't she feel limited by being chained to me? Hasn't she felt severely constrained in life options and potential? She said caring for me shaped her identity. Caregiving for me is now part of her identity and a goal. I thought that was great, but she said she couldn't change it. She said I give her almost as much, if not more. I told her she was exaggerating, but she said it was true. She remarked that caring for me daily brings her so much joy and fulfillment that she doesn't know how she could live without it, and is more important to her than having a spouse or children. I had problems understanding that. I joke that it's not always this fun, especially when she's washing my ass. She laughed and explained how love can make anything beautiful and valued, even if it's unpleasant, ugly, or terrible. Her example was a mother giving birth. After 9 months of illness and a swollen body, she was ripped open, blood everywhere, screaming, and in the worst physical pain of her life. She suffers to deliver someone she will love forever into the world, therefore it's still lovely. Even when wiping poo from my ass, as disgusting as it may seem, is a manifestation of her affection for me as her sibling and the lengths she will go to because of it. Lovely, true love, I think. I now see her and our lives more positively and no longer see myself as a burden or shackle. She helped me value myself. As a brother, I love, companion, and value this magnificent, beautiful, kind-hearted woman I'm proud to call my sister. Because I know how much I'm worth to her, and how much it would hurt her if I killed myself, I can't bear to do it. I wanted to give that update since your kind and loving reactions were so encouraging. Love is the most beautiful thing in the world, and despite my physical condition, I am blessed. I cannot imagine life without it. Big thanks to everyone. Next, boyfriend's female employer was his roommate, and everyone thought they dated. Now she's trying to force him across the country. Hello everybody. My boyfriend Lee and I have dated for 2 years. We lived together for a year. He lived with work friend Kim before we moved in. Only 1 or 2 months into our relationship. Many of his coworkers told me about Lee and Kim's regular hookups. Naturally, I was uneasy. I got drunk one night and broke down instead of talking to him. My bad moment, and I apologized to him and Kim. Lee said it was workplace hearsay and nothing had happened between them. Even if he slept with her in the past, he is now entirely dedicated to me. I trust him. After we moved in, he only saw Kim at work and occasionally with friends. Kim was less forgiving of my childish behavior. Kim didn't see my breakdown, but Lee told her. I was upset, so I took Kim out for lunch and drinks to apologize. I thought everything was okay, but no. Kim has mistreated me for 2 years. If we eat out, she ignores me. She rolls her eyes and cuts in front of me when I talk. Whatever. Got it. I'm friendly but don't like her. Kim's management and expansion over Lee's intrigue me. She has repeatedly asked Lee to open a corporate branch 3 hours from our home. This corporation requires 2 years of residency in a new city before opening a branch. Even though Lee has declared he will not attend, she has included him. He and I are furious. He doesn't criticize me, she wants an experienced person to open the new branch. That could be it since he has the most business experience doing it. I think there's another purpose though. Lee still wants me to be friends with her. I told him we can't be friends. I tried everything to make her like me, including throwing her surprise birthday parties, moving her into a new apartment while she was in her home state for an emergency, and buying her a tour of her favorite distillery, but nothing worked. No more trying. He knows I don't want him to break his friendship with her. But I don't want him to discuss our relationship with her, and I don't want to be in a room with her, or have dinner with her, unless there's a large crowd where I can pretend she's not there. Her birthday and holiday celebrations are fine, but generally I don't want to be near her. He's upset we don't get along and keeps wanting to be her friend. He still thinks she needs more time to get to know me and comprehend my guilt for a 2-year-old error I've worked hard to correct. How do I convince Lee that Kim and I will never be friends and that I don't want to be near her? Scooter Magooter, comment on LP's response. How terrible was the blowout? Are you shouting? Through things? Hitting? That may explain her coldness toward you. Not bad. I yelled at him, but she wasn't home. I didn't throw or hit. Lots of drunken ranting and weeping. I didn't respond to the thread, but I read all the responses. I appreciate all the responses and DMs that helped me solve the situation. First, I asked Lee if he had slept with her. His contention was again that it never happened and that he had no reason to suppress it. He contemplated whether Kim had a thing for him that he wasn't aware of and determined it may be true. I repeated my reasons for not being her friend and how I loathed her treatment. He didn't realize how bad it was, so I told him to be more cautious while we were together. I'm pleased I started our connection because he's quite aloof. 2 co-workers invite him to supper after a week. We agree and find Kim. She avoids me after hugging Lee. I assumed Lee missed it until he raised an eyebrow at me. Kim ignores me, rolls her eyes, or interrupts me over dinner. Lee came to me and said, "I definitely see it, and I'm sorry, that was beautiful." One of Lee's co-workers toasts as dinner ends. He praises Lee's work and says they'll miss him when he moves to the new branch. I said, "What?" without thinking, because I was shocked. Lee was astonished also and told them he didn't want the job. Kim then stated he was one of the top 3 contenders for elimination. Lee was pissed. He stood up for another drink, and I did too. After seeing that Kim had typed his name, he told the higher-ups it was an error and that he was not interested. Kim must have informed the supervisors and convinced them to re-enter him. We left early and went home. I assured him I would help him attend, but he refuses. He now knows why I didn't want to be friends with her and why my assumptions were right. Monday, he returned to work and requested a transfer to a department not under Kim's direction. He told HR about Kim overstepping her boundaries and is considering finding a new job without her. I'm delighted he saw what I saw and fired Kim. I'm excited to see how losing her will enhance our relationship, and he promises to be more careful of how his friends treat me and respect my wishes, rather than pressing a friendship. OP answered with sadness, dismay, and confusion. 11. After your spouse recovered control, you must take precautions to protect yourself from her violence. To hide your activities from her, lock down your social media accounts and ban her everywhere. Check your door locks and install security cameras in case she goes crazy. She knows your address. She may have your husband's date of birth and social security number if she is his manager. Monitor your accounts to prevent her from using them to steal his identity. Your husband talking to HR should keep her from causing too much work damage. He must be careful and avoid being alone with her in case she accuses him. I'm frightened, yet her craziness makes it best to be safe. I didn't contemplate her going postal, but you're right, we should be prepared for everything. I might request security cameras we can take with us as we're moving in a few months. I'll tell him to watch his stuff and report any changes in her work behavior to HR Pantanana, his boss and ex-roommate. Roommates are co-workers first. They joined the company together and worked